Nobuhle Makhathini. I'm a master's student at Wits. I'll be looking at the nexus between Biosphere Reserve governance models and sustainable socio-economic development of the local communities, looking at the case study of the Vhembe Biosphere Reserve. So traditionally, the introduction of protected areas has been associated with the forceful removals of local communities. The governance policies have historically included local communities from conservation solutions. There was an introduction of fines and fences that have excluded local communities from using the resources within the protected areas. So as a result, people have become hostile toward this fortress kind of conservation. Hence, there was a need for a shift towards a more people-centered conservation or an integrated approach. Hence, we witnessed the introduction of the UNESCO Men and the Biosphere Reserve, commonly known as MEP program. In this sense, Biosphere Reserve can be seen as an instrument for integrated management of social ecological systems, having three functions, which is conservation of biodiversity and cultural diversity, and also economic development that is social, cultural, and environmentally sustainable, which is also the focus of my research. And lastly, the logistics supports, which is underpinning development through research, monitoring, education, and training. So the overall aim of my study was to actually understand the governance model that is implemented in the Vhembe Biosphere Reserve and its impacts on the socio-economic development of the local communities. You can go on. Okay, so you can just click so everything. Is it working? Yep. Perfect. Thank you. Okay, so on my right is my study area. You can see that little thing over there. This is my location, the location of the study area, which is the Vhembe Biosphere Reserve, which is part of the network of the 727 UNESCO registered biosphere reserves across the globe, and it's one of the 10 in South Africa, of which 3 are in Limpopo, including the current study area, the Vhembe Biosphere Reserve. The VBR is one of the largest biosphere reserves in South Africa, with the surface area of 30,700 kilometers. The area has a relatively large and rapidly growing population of approximately 1.5 million, 5 municipalities, including Blowback, Musina, Makhado, Thulamela, and the Bende Mutale community. And it also has 2 transboundary parks, the Great Limpopo Transfrontier Conservation Area and the Great Mapungwe Transfrontier Conservation Area. Okay, so for the data collection, I used interviews. I also used the purposive sampling technique to interview the board of directors, and I snowballed the local communities that were involved in the projects and the conservation authorities. I've also used the document analysis, which was some of the documents, internal documents of the Biosphere Reserve, to substantiate or help with the interviews. And then thematic analysis, I used the Brown and Clark 6 steps, and for data storing and coding, I used the Atlas TI software. So for the presentation purposes, you can go on. So for the presentation purposes, I didn't include all the themes that emerged during the data analysis, but these are some of the themes that I'll focus on: the motivation for actors' involvement in the Biosphere Reserve, the role of the Biosphere Reserve in its socio-ecological systems, the opportunities in the Biosphere Reserve current governance model to facilitate collaboration between conservation authorities and local communities. Okay, so motivations and interest of the board of directors have on the involvement of the Biosphere Reserve were quite diverse. Some of the motivations included VBR's conservation objective being the line of work. Some would say it aligns with their job and being in the Biosphere Reserve kind of aligned with the line of work. The board of members also noted that they feel the sense of ownership or familiarities, and as a result, they tend to be enthusiastic about investing their time in the Biosphere Reserve. So one of the respondents, I'll read, outlined that it aligned with my job. I'm a manager at then we do conservation research, education, and more, which is similar to what the VBR is doing. That is what motivates me to continue being part of the management. And one of the respondents emerged like was social responsibility. So he mentioned that he was involved with an organization called the South African Youth Biodiversity Network. There was a workshop in Limpopo, which was then I realized that I was staying in one of the Biosphere Reserve, but I did not know about it after I finished my master's, and then I decided to volunteer. Another theme was the platform for collaboration among stakeholders. One of the board members felt like they were a facilitator or a portal through different stakeholders. This is one of the respondents. He said, we are more than a region. We are a facilitator, a portal, and a partner of all. We can move on. Some of the challenges that the Biosphere Reserve has encountered is the lack of funding. So each Biosphere Reserve, is responsible for the arrangement of its financial mechanism for both operational and implementation of projects. So having the VPR depending on external projects has become the issue, because the donors now get to have the upper hand over the work that the Biosphere Reserve has to do. So lack of funding, once again, has been the issue, and one of the respondents outlined that the lack of funding determines the activities that we do. So if we don't get funding, there's not much that we can do. And also the issue was also the lack of permanent staff, because the only permanent employed person on the Biosphere Reserve is the coordinator, so that puts too much pressure on him. So the lack of permanent staff has also been an issue. One of the respondents also replied that if we could get more full-time employees of the reserve who are on the ground and doing physical work, then we can achieve more. Move on. And then we're going to look at some of the opportunities that the current governance model has provided to facilitate collaboration between conservation authorities and the local communities across different zones in the Biosphere Reserve, specifically looking at the core zone and the transition zone. So the current governance models has promoted the interaction between stakeholders, because as I've mentioned earlier, there's been an issue of local communities looking at the conservation as the enemy. So now having the Biosphere Reserve as a mediator between these two people has actually facilitated the interaction between stakeholders. It has further improved the relationship between conservation authorities and the Biosphere Reserve, and operational flexibility, because one of the respondents, I remember, from the Kruger National Park mentioned that they have laws and regulations, so they can't just do some of the things, but then the Biosphere Reserve or the VPR board can then decide that, okay, since this is what we need at the moment, then the project might maybe focus on the thing. So it has also promoted the operational flexibility. Once again, it has enhanced communication between conservation areas and local communities. So these are some of the demonstration projects that are currently taking place in the Vhembe Biosphere Reserve. Come to think of it, I could have just put pictures here so that you can have maybe a visual. But then this is chili farmers. Those are the women who farms chilies. It was quite interesting to find that they use the chilies to keep away the elephants from coming into the local communities. So for conservation contribution, it actually helps with the prevention of human-wildlife conflicts. The socio-economic contribution, the being introduced to the markets, and they also got the solar panels donations from the VBR. And the other one is the Afroplastic project. So what happens is that mostly they do competition in schools where children will pick up plastics and then give it to this guy who will then do the pavement bricks and then give them back to the school. So it's sort of nice, like having that type of purchase, which is also eco-friendly. So once again, the socio-economic contribution was a collaboration with the university and the job creation for some of people that help with the bricks. And then the conservation contribution was the reduction of pollution and the protection of aqualife and other animals. And then, yeah, the last one is the Eco Briquettes Initiative, which was also has contribution on reversing deforestation and some of the socio-economic contribution on knowledge transfer and the use of biofuels. Gone. So in conclusion, well, my work is not yet complete. I'm still busy with the write-up. But what I've seen is that the VBR has a flexible governance structure with a board that can adapt to changing needs and expertise requirements, which has become very helpful. And it also facilitate connection between different zones, which is the transition where we see the local communities are now working along with the conservation areas, which is the Kruger National Park in this sense, which is the co-zone. It also demonstrates a commitment to balancing stakeholders' need with environmental objectives. So if you're interested to seeing my final work, which I hope will be in 3 months, if Dr. Secretary decides not to add more comments, then you can go on to that website.